During SONA, President Cyril Ramaphosa said that the Department of Home Affairs is going to launch the digital identity system in 2026. What we're going to get, the secure digital ID system, enabling safe access to online government services, digitized driver's licenses, digitized matric certificates, online services at the master's office, the ability to submit police statements online. The man in charge of all of this, and I wonder if he's having sleepless nights about getting it done, is the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Leon Schreiber. Hello, Leon.
Hello, John. I've just stepped out of Parliament, so I'm sorry if it's a bit noisy in the background.
Not a problem at all. I mean, this is a big thing that you are tasked with.
It is indeed a huge thing, and I think it's important just to clarify what the approach looks like.
Yep.
So, of course, the Department of Home Affairs has the legal mandate for identity management, which means that we have to build the foundation for this digital government vision. Essentially, all of these services that you've mentioned depend on us being able to verify someone's identity. If you want to get your matric certificate, your driver's license, whatever the case is, we have to know who you are. So we're starting with our own services. That's obviously having a digital ID, in other words, being able to prove and verify your identity, as well as things like your marital status, birth certificates, etc. So we're starting with the Home Affairs ecosystem itself. That is something that we are already working on. We rolled out the Citizenship Reinstatement Portal recently, which enables people to actually use facial recognition to modify their record on the population register, which is exactly what digital ID is about. It gives you the ability for the first time as a citizen to actually directly say, this is a change to my surname, or this is my marital status. So we've already got the back end working in terms of facial recognition. What we now need to do is build really the front end, the app, the user interface, etc. So in the first phase of this, it will be Home Affairs services, and that is my commitment. We will deliver that. Later on, of course, other departments have mandates for things like driver's licenses and matric certificates, etc. But we are building the platform, we are creating the space, and all of those other departments can then build on top of that to roll out their services as well. That's the vision, broadly speaking.
In one of our earlier conversations, Leon, after you'd taken over at the ministry, and you were unhappy about the quality of digital expertise available in-house, as it were, and one of the things that you wanted to do was move outside, and you're building now of what sounds like a fairly sophisticated front end on a back end that you say is already working. So, I mean, are you able to do this within the constraints of being a government department?
Yeah, so some of the positives we've rolled out over the last few months has put us in a much better position than when we had that conversation. Firstly, there's the partnership with the South African Revenue Service, which, as you know, already is quite sophisticated in how it manages tax affairs through digital channels. They have been instrumental in getting the electronic travel authorization out, which is essentially the visa version of what we're discussing now. So they have really assisted us to get that capacity in. We've also really pushed service providers. There are service providers in the department who have been there for many years, and we are demanding much more from them now than we did in the past. And that has actually helped us get some of these tools and systems in place. We are also working with SARS on some of our hardware problems, making sure that we have the foundation in place. These are basic things: generators, electricity, servers. So yes, there's been a huge amount of progress since we last spoke. We're not at the finish line yet, but I think we're much closer now, and I think that the confidence that we will be able to deliver this is a lot better than it would have been 20 months ago.
But you build the system that allows driver's licenses and matric certificates to be done by the Department of Transport and the Department of Basic Education. Online services at the Master's Office sounds absolutely brilliant, as long as there's somebody there on the other side to give you those services, which is not the case at the moment, but that's the Department of Justice. What you have to do is IDs and passport documents. I mean, I've just got a message from a listener saying that the DHA web portal is the first thing you do to make applications and bookings. That has very poor response times to the point of often being unusable. So, I mean, it's only one experience, and others might have more positive experiences. But within your own remit of delivering a seamless application and delivery process of ID and passport documents. I know that you were quoted in the aftermath of SONA saying that many more banks are about to come online and offer the document services through those banks. How comfortable are you with where your department is in that regard?
Yeah, I think we just have to differentiate between the two. So digital ID, of course, does not require you to make an appointment to go anywhere, right? That's the whole idea, that for those who are able to access it, you should be able to do that through your phone and not be dependent on things like the booking system and have any interaction really with an official unless there's an exception or an issue on your case. So that's the first part. The second part is more the traditional products. There will still be a need for physical smart IDs. There will still be a need for physical passports. So that is exactly right. The project with the banks is about to yield fruits really within the next 3-4 weeks. We will be launching at a very big scale those first bank branches. And this is a fundamentally different experience. I should say we are also working on the appointment portal. So we found a lot of unscrupulous activity there with people booking out slots. So we want to make that better, and we are working on it. But once you have these bank branches that are live, you're actually going to reduce the queues because you have many more places you can go for an ID then. And I think the key point to make, it won't be like the old system. You walk into these bank branches, there are digital terminals where you already do your banking, actually, if you go there these days. And we have now measured it takes 3 minutes to apply for a smart ID. If you're typing in your ID number, you're looking into a camera, and you say, this is what I want, there's the payment, and you proceed. So yes, indeed, John, the physical documents, the physical products, we've come a massively long way. We did 4 million smart IDs in 2025. They used to do 2.7 million before. So it's not like things haven't gotten better. They have. But I think this next phase with the banks, the work on the booking portal, etc., is going to make the physical product a lot more accessible as well.
Because your core delivery point remains Department of Home Affairs officers. And yes, the banks will reduce the queues because some people will have access to those banks and will take the opportunity. But I suspect that for quite some time, for a fairly high percentage of South Africans who need these documents, Department of Home Affairs offices and terminals and networks are going to remain top. It's going to be the main delivery portal, and so that really needs to be better than it is at the moment.
Yes, although I'm not sure that that's the case.
Okay.
If you think about the footprint, that's the important point perhaps, that there are 349 Home Affairs offices spread throughout the country. But we are now working with banks where an individual bank has 600 branches. And if we are actually able to roll this out in the way that we envision, in other words, where once you start scaling, you can actually, the difference between being in 10 branches with this technology and being in 100 branches is actually not that big. So if we get to a space within the next few months or by the end of this year where there are double the number of bank branches that are offering these services than there are Home Affairs offices, I think you will see the impact in terms of the number of people that go to Home Affairs. But this is not to say that we don't have to do those things. We are doing those things. We've seen a 66% increase in the reduction in the turnaround time it takes us to produce smart IDs and passports. But I think more broadly, the point is, I don't even want Home Affairs officials necessarily in the future to sit behind a desk in an office. I think Home Affairs should be mobile. It should be able to go into communities that are undocumented. We've got millions of children, South African citizens, who have never had their birth registered. You're never going to reach them by sitting behind a desk. So ideally, we would like to get a lot of people out of our offices, out of the queues, using channels outside of that, whether it's digital or their banks. And then we would like to focus on the people who really do need our help. But those aren't people who can travel great distances to Home Affairs offices. We need to go to them. We don't have the money to do that the way things are right now. But if we take pressure off the system through these channels, we might just get there even in this administration.
Thank you very much, Dr. Leon Schreiber, the Minister of Home Affairs.